Jerry Lawler is sharing new information about the death of his son, who was found hanging in a jail cell. Jerry didn't think he had to worry about his son, Brian, in the Hardman County Jail. He said the sheriff even gave him assurances that he would personally make sure Brian was okay, but that didn't happen. Jerry and his attorney laid out a disturbing trail of puzzling occurrences leading up to Brian's death. This has been a nightmare, as you can imagine, from the moment I got the call saying that Brian hung himself, Jerry said. What makes it even worse, Jerry Lawler does not believe his son Brian actually hung himself in the Hardman County Jail on July 29th. Brian being my son, I knew him, everybody around him who knew him, and they all have expressed doubts, Jerry said. Jerry's lawyer Ted Handsome said that includes inmates with his son at the Hardman County Jail. We've received literally countless calls, text messages from people, actual eyewitnesses, that were in the jail and saw things that happened on the actual day that Brian died that now has opened up a new can of worms, Jerry said. It just doesn't seem like it was suicide. Brian was in the Hardman County Jail after an early July arrest for a DUI. Sheriff John Doolan said Brian was placed in a cell by himself because of his notoriety. But Jerry said his son was with other inmates at the jail. He and family members kept in close contact with Brian, speaking to him every day. It appears Brian was moved to a segregated cell after a fight. I talked to Brian Saturday morning 11 o'clock the day he died, Jerry said. He talked perfectly normal, perfectly rational. A couple of hours later Jerry Lawler's fiancée Lauren got a call from the jail. Lauren got a call about 2 in the afternoon that said Brian had been in a fight in the jail, Jerry said. Jerry said the fight was described as no big deal. An inmate was actually playing cards with Brian when the altercation happened when Brian got hit, Jerry said. Jerry said witnesses described Brian as bleeding from the head, asking for medical help that he apparently didn't get at the jail. Then 4 or 5 hours later, the call came in that Brian had hung himself. It just doesn't pass the smell test, Jerry said. Another reason Jerry believes that is because of photos of Brian taken in the hospital before he died. Jerry said the sheriff told his fiancée that Brian used his shoestrings to hang himself. The photos show marks on either side of Brian's neck, but not in the front of his neck. Just look at his neck and look at his hand, Jerry said. You can see the lines on his neck all the way around here to here and what would be the length of your hand as if he was trying to keep the pressure off. I think the pictures indicate something other than someone hanging himself with a shoelace, Handsome said. The TBI investigation into Brian's death is not complete, so Jerry does not have access to the case file at this point. Jerry said 20 of the cameras inside the jail were reportedly not working. Brian Lawler's death certificate indicates he died from suicide by hanging. Jerry and his family want to know the truth about what happened to Brian, Handsome said. Jerry says he won't quit. Not until we find out exactly what happened, Jerry said. WMC Action News 5 contacted the TBI and was told the case of Brian Lawler's death is active and ongoing. We also reached out to Hardman County Sheriff John Doolan, who did not return our call.